to your show. I was doing a current events project for my history class on the protests in Wall Street. And when I was researching it, a lot of the people said that they were anti-capitalist. But at the same time, they're protesting against the involvement of corporate and government and vice versa. And I thought that was the separation of like business and government. I thought that was capitalism.
Yeah. Well, you're right. How old are you?
I'm 15.
15? All right.
Yeah.
And you're home from school and you're working on a current events project for your history class.
Yes.
Well, Ashley, as hard as it may be to believe, because all of this happened before you were born. World War II came along. My father fought in World War II. It wasn't all that long ago. And the Soviet Union, the leading communist entity at the time, swept with military forces all over Eastern Europe, and they captured hundreds of millions of people and country after country, and they held them hostage, and leaving those countries for one of their citizens was called an escape. So these countries were essentially like big prisons, and the Soviet Union was, and then China later with the communists taking over there in a little later on in that decade. And communism is, in my opinion, essentially a form of state slavery for people. And they rejected communism, they rejected Christianity and all forms of religion. They made the state essentially the replacement for what was religion, the free practice of religion before the communists took over. And capitalism is the other economic system. Capitalism, which was practiced freely in Western Europe, the portion of Europe that was not captured by the Soviets and Joseph Stalin at the end of World War II, and the United States of America in particular, the freest and the most capitalistic of all the governments and countries and systems in the world, created in particular in the aftermath of World War II the most prosperous era in the history of humankind, created the largest, most thriving middle class in human history. And we squared off during the Cold War against the Soviet Union, and it was kind of our system against their system. They were aggressively belligerent militarily and so on, but our economic system squared off against their economic system, capitalism and the free market against communism. And eventually their system collapsed on itself because it proved to be unsustainable, completely unsustainable.
Yeah.
It failed because it simply doesn't work for a whole range of reasons. Our system, on the other hand, while they were collapsing, while they were all starving to death, and millions of them starved to death, literally, under the system of communism, our system was thriving. And our biggest problem is that poor people in this country are now considered to be too heavy, too obese.
Yeah.
That's what happens if you're poor in this country, become too fat. In a communist country like North Korea, there are still a few communist countries, people still starve to death. Our system has proven time and time again to be far superior, to create a better life for the citizenry, to create more wealth, to create more jobs, to create more prosperity, to make life better for hundreds of millions of people. The system that is being advocated by these people on Wall Street has already failed time and time again. It's not that our system is a perfect system. It's not. It has flaws. But their system is a catastrophe. Their system is a terribly flawed system that leads to terrible things every single time. Unfortunately, some people on university campuses and elsewhere are still teaching a lie, and it is a lie, that system just hasn't been tried properly. And if we go back and do it again, do it differently this time, that this time it'll work. But those of us who have been watching and paying attention and studying history know that that's a lie, that that's a falsehood. But these people, when they say capitalism must go, they're advancing a system of slavery of the state. They're advancing a system, advocating a system that has created more poverty than any other system that humankind has ever created. They're creating a system that failed, that we thought we had defeated when the Soviet Union fell, before you were born, actually. And unfortunately, there is still a small number of Americans and people in Western Europe that think that it can be a better system, and they just want to keep trying again and again and again, trying out a failed system that will every time lead to the same results. Communism heavy in the Soviet Union failed. Communism light, heavy socialism in Greece and in Portugal and in Italy has failed. They're all bankrupt. They haven't created more jobs. They create fewer jobs. Their unemployment rates are always higher than ours. Their wealth creation is not nearly what ours is. They don't have nearly as many wealthy people. Poor people in this country live like wealthy people in some countries like India and certainly in communist countries and so on. It's a big lie, Ashley. This whole socialism thing, this communism thing is a big lie. It doesn't make things better. It makes things worse. And that's been proven again and again and again. But some people here, some Americans, leftists, socialists, want to keep trying it over and over again. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just don't understand how people can think that a system works when it has failed, like, over and over. And they're not using their brains, I feel. And I just, as an intellectual, I would consider myself an intellectual. I don't get the logic behind these people. And, like, yeah.
I wish you were.
Understand what they're saying.
I wish you were 17 so you could vote next year.
Thank you.
But you're going to be a good voter in a couple of years.
Thank you.
Your parents must be geniuses.
Yeah, I think they are.
You think they're geniuses? I think they're geniuses too, and I haven't even spoken to them. Ashley, thank you very much. You keep forging ahead. You let the class know what it's all about, won't you?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. It's Ashley. She's 15. She's working on an assignment for a history class. 105.9 FM.
And your parents are geniuses and your grandparents too. We love you. We're proud of you. How does it feel?
Feels better than when I talked to Sherry Elliker.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm turning it off.
Okay, bye.